A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on JTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tertola Pier Park, NV Salon Spa Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Ticely Cross Deliciously Smooth Cider, HOV Medical and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment. This is The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition. Today we want to be talking things that are associated with the way we treat our bodies, our health. My guest today is none other than Dr. Sharlon Lewis. Yes, a medical doctor, but she's also the president of the BVI Diabetes Association. Yeah. And as we understand it, recently you would have had your election and you're re-elected to serve for another go around.
Yes. So I guess that means maybe I made a good impression on our members. To be honest, I was the only person running this year. I think maybe they were happy with the job that, we started a year ago, and they want to see that continue. So yeah.
So before we go to, looking forward, give a little reflection of what that past year has been, and what are some of the things that you would have learned, because I know you're not only imparting, but you're also learning a whole lot in that environment.
This honestly was my first time leading an association like this. Before me, we had the wonderful Elton Georges, the late Elton Georges was our president before, definitely. Yes. And then we had Jean Vanterpool. So these were some big shoes to follow. These were some big people to follow. And luckily, Jean stayed on with us. She has been staying on with us as an advisor to the executive, because she has such a wealth of experience to be able to impart. And I really have to give props to them for, starting, bringing awareness and putting things in place for, how we really make an impact in our community. For at least a year before the election, where I was elected, Jean had already started hinting to me that, she would want me to take over, because I think she recognized, even with asking me to join, I think she recognized the passion that I have for helping persons definitely with diabetes. And I will go so far as to say the Diabetes Association is the one association that deals with non-communicable diseases in our community, because whenever folks see us out there doing screenings, we're not just checking blood sugars, we're also checking blood pressure, which goes hand in hand. And those are the two major killers and major contributing factors to, long-term ill health effects. So I'm so happy that we had that foundation. I'm so happy to be part of trying to build things up. In terms of what I've learned, definitely, organizational skills and so something that I don't really teach, like managerial skills I don't really teach in medical school, Okay. We have other things to focus on. But it definitely has been a learning experience for me with that. I've always been a very outgoing, outspoken person. So going out and meeting people and engaging people and trying to help in the fight, like I've been so happy to be able to do that. Even with the support of where I work, to be able to give me that freedom and allow me to be able to do these things to make that impact. We definitely have gotten a lot of feedback as well from our community. In November, we were able to have a symposium where we were educating persons about what is diabetes, diet, medication approaches. We actually had a visiting endocrinologist at the time who was able to give us, his knowledge. The man was here on vacation, and we just kind of roped him in to be able to come and give us that educational spots. He actually was able to do a lecture for our physicians as well. We had an open area for physicians to come in and learn about the latest, directions in treatment and management so that we can get on par with the rest of the world. Luckily, again, for us, we have NHI, which, we've been really trying to not abuse, but take advantage of to the best of our abilities to be able to encourage persons to take care of their health. NHI really and truly works better, not in fixing the problem after it's already happened, preventing the issue. And this is where we know, as a non-governmental, non-profit organization, we really step in with the community to be able to give that information. We go out, we do screenings, we do education, because we have been to different business places, and we have done screenings, and we've done some sessions in terms of teaching the employees, and so a bit about healthy living. I have taken a step back from that because of my role, but we do have Miss Rosalie Dawson, who is, I would say, the everything in the office. She's also a trained diabetes educator, so she's able to go out and do those kind of talks and give that kind of base information for a lot of these different things. Talk to persons when we see them screening and they have high blood sugars. One of the other things we do, besides giving them information at the time, we also follow up with them to make sure that they've gone to see their doctor and they're getting treated, because sometimes persons genuinely don't know, because we still have the mindset that we're only going to the doctor when something is wrong. And I understand that, we kind of had to prioritize when we had to pay the full price for going to see the doctor. It's not like you could go, a lot of persons are struggling financially, so you can't just go willy-nilly. So we have been able to go out and do those free screenings. We still ask for donations, but really and truly, if you can't afford it, that's what we're there for. This is why we ask for donations, so that we can give to those who genuinely can't afford. And when we find persons that have high blood sugar, high blood pressure readings, we ask them to see their physician. We do have an arrangement with being able to send them to their district clinic. We advise them if they want to go private, obviously make sure your NHI is up to par. You can go and see your private physician, and we do have access, we do have access in terms of dietary advice and those kind of things. So it's not just about finding out and educating, it's also that follow-up factor. Okay. And that's something, as you said, we'll talk about what's coming up, but that segues.
We can up into it, yes. Yeah. Haven't had an election, any new officers, or most persons would have returned to the...
Most people have returned, so I know you're going to put out, our new board, but one new person we have is Timothy Barker.
Okay, he's a PR.
He is our PRO. Okay. If people think that's nepotism and no, we're gonna work him hard. And I said, even if I might be feeling a little sorry for him, I know the other ladies. I know Rosie and Mrs. Zandra Adamson are going to be on his case and make sure that people know what we do. They know why we're here. It's not just for diabetics. We really need that community effort and being able to have persons, use us for information, use us as support.
And that's a key point to note. When we hear of a diabetes association, okay, you're looking for all the persons who their feet might be black, or they have a track record, and only them to go. But even if you tell yourselves that you're fully healthy and out of danger zone, and that constant checking, and a big thing is supporting others who are affected by.
So far, some of the services we have, besides the free testing, we also have two big things that really came about. We have a foot care clinic. So we have Nurse Mercedes Samuel. Thank God for Nurse Samuel. I met her when I worked on the wards at the hospital. She always worked in the general surgery and medicine ward, so she had a lot of experience with people coming in with complications from diabetes and hypertension. And she decided to, we assisted in her being trained to do foot care. What does that mean? That means checking for the pulses, the skin integrity, infection. She's actually able to deal with nail issues as well, like ingrown toenails and infected toenails and that kind of thing. If there's anything that needs medication, she will know when to refer to the doctor. But she's able to do this kind of foot care, and every diabetic should have a foot check at least once a year. So we're asking, I've reached out to persons who have like nail salons, that if you know you have a diabetic at least once a year, we're not taking business away because she's not doing fancy styles and painting toes. It's really and truly to get them to get their feet checked, because you don't want the complications to start and continue, you don't know, and then you end up with amputations. That's not the end goal. The end goal is let's manage as best we can, because we want to save all life and limbs for our diabetics.
Until God really, really, really waiting for us. You must go down feeling good.
It is a service that we do ask for payment, because we do have to replenish the equipment and all those things. And of course, we want to be able to have money put aside for somebody else to train, so we don't have the pressure all on one person. But I always say, if somebody genuinely can't afford, we do understand that. And again, this is where our donations come in to really help, to be able to provide that service. Some time ago, Daryl Bess from Bayrock and David Archer, they had an auction, I think, at David's last event, and they were able to give us a donation that kind of went towards that foot care clinic. It was really great. So we're very happy to have that service going on. Another thing that we have going on is the CGM distribution project. Do you know? CGM, continuous glucose monitors. Okay. So rather than a diabetic having to prick their finger, ever so many times a day, there's a little device. It's a little disc, and where it will go usually on the back of the arm, or they can wear it on their stomach, wherever might be convenient. There's a little plastic needle that goes in through the skin and stays there with the device. Okay. It stays on for about 2 weeks, and it reads your blood sugars continuously for about 2 weeks. Why that is so important? Because for somebody, especially those who are on insulin, their blood sugars can fluctuate very, very quickly. So it really helps our insulin-dependent diabetics to be able to see, well, if their blood sugar is high or low, if they need to give themselves more insulin, because remember, their body is not producing it for themselves. So they need to take insulin. That's type 1 diabetics. And what we did, through a private donor, we were able to get enough devices that we're giving them away free to children. To children. For the adults, we're asking that, especially if they're working, that they can buy them from us so we can replenish them for the children. But right now, the issue we have is that they're very expensive, because they're not available in our region just yet. That's something that we're also working on and advocating for. So we're trying to, because the companies have not released them to our region. And part of not only our association, but the associations across the region would be to advocate for the companies to be able to release them. If you look at, commercials in the States, this is available in the States. Like, persons, they probably just need a little prescription from their doctor, and they can go and get it at CVS or whatever. Wow. We don't have that because it's not here yet. So it is an expensive project that we've taken on. We are very grateful that we have the private donor and we're able to provide these things, but we want to expand, because we have more than just children who are type 1 diabetics. I actually have patients, and we have persons who are in their 50s and are type 1 diabetics. Why it is so important for those persons is because they would have been suffering from these changes in blood sugar from a much earlier age. So let's say somebody's in their 40s and 50s, and that's when they discover diabetes. The complications, increased risk of heart attacks, amputations, kidney failure, all these things. Imagine if it starts in childhood. So that actually means by the time they get to 30, 40, you could be seeing all these end-stage complications if they are not managed properly. So that is one of the things that we have going on that we definitely want to expound on.
What is the prevalence of diabetes among children?
That's a good question. And I say this because one of the projects we have that we're going to be moving forward is that we need a registry. We do not have a diabetes registry, and as much as everybody thinks that, oh, you can just go to this or that entity, no, we actually don't have the facility as it is right now to be able to go and get figures. The International Diabetes Federation And even for our own purposes, we need to know how many diabetics we have on island. So that is a project that we're going to need to work on in conjunction with, the different ministries, the epidemiology department. I've spoken to Miss Messiah Bruley, and she's, been more than willing to help us and assist us. But it's going to take a very big effort to get something that together. I know other societies have had, their registries put in place. But to be honest, our figures are so big. So statistically, we have a population of maybe 36,000 people. Statistically, we can expect about maybe 3,600 people to have diabetes. And of that, you would expect me about 300 to be type 1. But we really don't know. And not everybody comes to us, and not everybody goes to the same medical facility. Right now, we do not have a national effort where everybody plugs their information in, and that's what we need to change. It's not about getting people's private information. It really is about
establishing that database.
It's about getting that database, getting those statistics, because how can we help if we don't really know what the problems are? It's like you're shooting in the dark and hope that something sticks. That's a waste of time, waste of money. We don't have that. The government has money set aside for different things, but if we can do and just be a little bit more streamlined and really help people where they need the help, it's gonna help and save all of us. I would much rather us put money into a streamlined health project rather than throwing it and hope it sticks and waste that money, and then we don't have money to improve our schools or improve our roads. So everything is interconnected, and I kind of feel very passionately.
I know. You see, I'm allowing you to express.
I'm so sorry. So I'm taking over Kathy's
No,
interview.
that's okay. No, we need the information, not me bubbling every minute.
So that's something that we're actually moving forward with, and in March we are going to send out the letters soon. We're going to be inviting persons to a stakeholders meeting.
Okay.
I really appreciate the government has tried, but they're the government, and I think us being that private entity, so that connection between what the government is doing, what's happening on the ground for our people, I think hopefully we can get everybody to come together at the same table and we can have those conversations.
And let's go back a little bit more on the children. I asked this because
Sure.
I just yesterday I was out in the Pier Park, and this child wanted some ice cream, and the mother took the time out to say, I have to remind you, remember. So how often are you, as a doctor in your practice, and as a president as a member, not just president of the Diabetes Association, how consistent are you seeing coming across children?
I have had in my private practice, I have had a few clients who would bring their kids in. And I said, really and truly, when you look at our society now, it's what we call an obesogenic society, meaning
Say the word again.
Obesogenic.
Obesogenic.
So we actually promote obesity, and it's not a purposeful effort. It's just we have advanced in certain ways so much that we have not compensated in others to make sure that we're minding our health. So whereas back in the day, Kathy, you and I might have snacks every once in a while as a treat because, we didn't have access to the U.S. markets and this kind of thing, it's much more accessible now.
We used to have a fruit, climb in the trees and we eat fruits.
And take that into consideration too. How many children you see climbing trees now? They don't be outside playing as much. Everybody is very... Especially after COVID, you stay in your house, you're very close, close inside.
Digital technology.
That too. Having a video game system in my day was a
big thing.
That was a big deal. Now, I had an incident with my son the other day where he was playing a video game and he was upset, and because he was upset, he destroyed it tonight, and I had to sit him down and be like, sir, first of all, that costs money. Second of all, they take it so much for granted, like the things that they have available now. And so in that, we have taught our kids to sit down and be quiet and play a video game. I know I have been guilty of that. I will be the first to admit I'm a mom, I'm a doctor, I'm a mother. So sometimes when you have other things to do, like last night where we were having a meeting and my son is there playing his video game. He had just come from karate though.
Okay, very active.
So and my son is very active. So he has his time when he can sit down, he can be quiet, and he have his little time in the corner. But very often we rely on that. Parents economic hardships. We're working so much. They're working 2 jobs sometimes. We have moms who are single parents, and they have to be doing all of this stuff, and so the kids a lot of times we are probably not getting the attention and the encouragement that they need to eat better, be more active. If mom has a job where she can't leave to take the child to an after school activity, all those things need to be put in place. And I remember hearing Honorable Premier at some point speaking about all these things, like, to get kids into the after school programs and all these things. So again, this is why I think having a stakeholders meeting and everybody come to the table and let's put in our different parts and let's see how we can all move forward to kind of make things better on so many different levels.
There are communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases,
yes.
Diabetes being a non-communicable disease. And we have several other organizations in the territory, like the BVI Cancer Society,
right.
the Alzheimer's Association, and others that deal with various levels of disease.
Right.
How do you work collectively? Because we know for a fact that in most cases, they go hand in hand.
Oh, definitely. And I always say, even from a medical point of view, if you deal with your non-communicable diseases and the risk factors that cause non-communicable diseases, you actually take care of a lot of risk factors for these other diseases. Did you know, and Ms. Williams and them is probably looking, did you know that that Alzheimer's can actually be considered type 3 diabetes? Because it has a lot to do with insulin and insulin resistance and excessive glucose in the brain.
Oh.
That is sometimes the reason that they would actually have those plaque formations that cause Alzheimer's. You do have other forms of dementia, which we call vascular dementia, which is where the blood supply is compromised. Not a full stroke, but it's compromised just enough to start causing the person to not have good mental function. So when you look at things like that, if we were able to treat the causes of high blood sugars and high blood pressures as well, you actually eliminate a lot of the risk factors for a lot of these other things, which is why, even from a medical professional point of view, I am really, really passionate about trying to deal with these issues. It's nothing to say like, and those other things are not important. And I'm really happy for the support that those other societies, are able to give. It's not necessarily our focus and objective now in terms of giving specific family support. Because we have had times where persons would be, going through like a medical surgery or something like that, and they would ask us for assistance. At this time, we are not able to necessarily give that specific assistance. It is definitely something we would love to be able to do, but our reach is a little bit more broad. So it is more about the screening, the follow-up, the encouragement, the support. We have families who, for example, the family member would have been diagnosed with diabetes and they get all this medication, and in the hospital the nurses are doing everything, but then when they go home, the family now has to manage. And sometimes they get so frustrated, it's like they get confused, and again, this is where we come in. The family can now come. We have a beautiful office, and we really have to thank Unite BVI for upgrading our office recently, where we have a sit-down area where the family can come in. They can meet with Rosie, our educator, and she can go through the various issues with them and really help them to manage better at home. We are that bridge between what happens at the hospital and what happens in the community.
Okay. Is there room for more membership?
Oh,
because I hear you talk about Rosie having to be there in the office, and then she goes out to do the education. Seems as though you could do it some extra hands.
We definitely need help, and I keep telling folks this. Even with the registry, I've reached out to Rotary. We have a few persons who are very interested in helping us. Ryan is always, talking about it with me.
Lions as well.
And Lions, they come out with us when we're doing screening. We thank them for the donation that they gave yesterday. That's definitely going to be put to good use, because we also have supplies for sale at the office, which is usually cheaper than they would get it at the pharmacies and whatnot. Blood pressure readers and the blood sugar testers and the strips. All of these things we have available. We're also advocating for the NHI to be able to cover some of these things, or even to see how we could work with private insurance companies to see how we can get these things covered in terms of supplies for the diabetics. In terms of membership, very often what we have happening is that there will be the same set of people you see going out all the time, and it gets very tiring. I mean, I tell my committee, I love what I do, I love what we're doing. I have to, but when I tell you that Jean is a big person to follow, Mrs. Vanderpool was there for every single thing, and I really admire her for being able to do that. I already know that I am not able, so I'm very happy for my committee that they've been able to carry on some projects even without me being there. Recently, we had a viewing of a slideshow by Penny Haycraft.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. At Sports Club. I think no, it's Sports Club.
Okay.
I think we had it. Yeah. Right. I wasn't able to attend. Our fundraising officer, Mrs. Zandra Adamson, did a fantastic job, and we were able to raise, I think it was $1,900 from that one event. So I'm so grateful for my committee who can, do these things. But even them, they need support. Even them, they need support. So if you think that, you can't take a blood pressure, you can't take a blood sugar, first of all, we can train you.
Okay.
Second of all, that's not everything. We also need recording officers. We need persons to like data entry, especially when we have the registry. We need persons who, we can teach you a couple things, and so you can actually talk to the general population even when they're coming for screening. Following up calls, if you want to come in and just, go through the registry and make sure everybody's kind of up to par with checking in with their doctor, whatever the case is. But we always need help. And of course, we always need donations. All
right. That's the note that we leave it. So that one sticks more than any other thing. They need donations so to continue that great job that you guys are doing there. I want to wish you and your team, success again through another year. The Diabetes Association has been going for quite some years.
40 years. I think 40 years.
Wow. So you can't count the many people who would have impacted and passed through that organization. So continue to do what you do.
We try.
Give our best regards to the rest of your team.
Definitely.
And we want you to take every advantage of the opportunities that presents itself at the BVI Diabetes Association. Check out them on Facebook and other means. So you can see
Instagram. We're on Instagram now.
And you can contact Dr. Sharlon and other members of the association if you need to find out more and do some more. Remember the last words of Dr. Lewis? They need donations. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.